दुबएव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shashwin, for reciting the Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined this group and are about to join. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is the departure of Lord Krishna from Dwarka, and today the text will be 31 and 32, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I hand over to you.
Okay, thank you, Bhakti. Narayan namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiriyeta nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevya bhakti yatam shloki bhakti bhavtina ishtiki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 31. Evam vidha gadantinam sa gira purayoshitam nirikshanena abhinandan shashmitena yayohari. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. While the ladies of the capital of Hastinapur were greeting him and talking in this way, the Lord, smiling, accepted their good greetings and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city. Since there is no purport on this, we'll go to 32. Ajata Shatru Pritananam Gopithaya Madhudisha Bharebhya Shankita Sneha Prayunkta Chaturanginim. Translation. Maharaj Yudhishthira, although no one's enemy, engaged 4 divisions of defense: horse, elephant, chariot, and army, to accompany Lord Krishna, the enemy of the Asuras, demons. The Maharaj did this because of the enemy and also out of affection for the Lord. Whether you can, I request you read the purport.
Thank you very much. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Natural defensive measures are horses and elephants combined with chariots and men. Horses and elephants are trained to move to any part of the hills or forest and plains. The charioteers could fight with many horses and elephants by the strength of powerful arrows, even up to the standard of Brahmastra, similar to modern atomic weapons. Maharaj Yudhishthira knew well that Krishna is everyone's friend and well-wisher, and yet there were asuras who were by nature envious of the Lord. So out of fear of attack from others and out of affection also, he engaged all varieties of defensive forces as bodyguards of Lord Krishna. If required, Lord Krishna himself was sufficient to defend himself from the attack of others who counted the Lord as the enemy, but still he accepted all the arrangements made by Maharaj Yudhishthira because he could not disobey the king, who was his elder cousin. The Lord plays the part of subordinate in his transcendental sporting, and thus sometimes he puts himself in the care of Yashoda Mata for his protection in his so-called helplessness of childhood. That is the transcendental Leela of pastime of the Lord. The basic principle for all transcendental exchanges between the Lord and his devotees is exhibited to enjoy a transcendental bliss for which there is no comparison even up to the level of Brahmana. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
I hand over to you.
Yes. So, in the verse number 31, we find that the ladies were greeting and talking in between. In the Vedic culture, which was already explained earlier, the ladies always stay away from men, especially in public. So they were on the roof in their verandas, and then they were enjoying the sight of the beauty of Krishna. And they were talking all blissful things, which we already discussed in the previous verse, that this talks and glorification of Krishna. Krishna is more happier, or they are more dear to Krishna than official Vedic hymns. In the text 32, begins with the word Ajata Shatru. Maharaj Yudhishthira is called Ajata Shatru. If you go to the third canto, when you come to the third canto, then Kapila Muni explains to his mother Devahuti the qualities of a sadhu. The qualities of sadhu is Titikshava, Karunika, Ajata Shatru, Shanta, Sadhava, Bhushanam. That these are the ornaments of a sadhu. And one of the ornaments is mentioned here, Ajata Shatru. He has no enemy. You'll find that any devotee or every devotee who is on an advanced level, he has no enemies. But naturally, the material world is so that people create enmity without any reason. They even create enmity with a sadhu. And they try to ruin him, like in Christianity. What was the fault of Jesus? They crucified him like an ordinary person. What was his fault? Srila Prabhupada explains that he was just preaching the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyway, Titikshava, like Prahlad Maharaj, he had no enmity with his father, but his father had enmity with him. Why? Because he was devoted to Lord Vishnu, which was the cause or the root cause of all the hatred and envy towards Prahlad. But Prahlad underwent all those tribulations with a smiling face, always chanting the holy name of Krishna, and all the time in a very blissful condition. This is Prahlad. And the third example is Haridas Thakur. He had no enmity with anyone, but people tried to create enmities with him. In one incident, they complained to the king that he's a Muslim and he's chanting the name of Hindu god. And then later on, we all know the past time what happened. There was a very envious landowner that he sent a prostitute to deviate the mind of Shifar Haridas Thakur, but they failed. She failed, rather she became a devotee. So you find that devotees have no enmity with anyone. Like Maharaj Yudhishthira had no enmity. But Duryodhana tried in so many ways to destroy the Pandavas, which included Yudhishthira Maharaj. So here the verse begins with the word Ajata Shatru. It means Maharaj Yudhishthira. Now we all know that Yudhishthira Maharaj is Dharma personified. He was born from Dharma. His father is Dharma personified. And he gifted Kunti with a son, a very, very special son, and that is Yudhishthira. Now we should understand the scene that Krishna is living for Dwarka. And already he had stopped earlier, and he stayed for more than 3 months, and now this time he's preparing to go. And Maharaj Yudhishthira, he can understand that even people in Dwarka want him. So out of love, he engaged 4 divisions of defense, which are mentioned here. There are elephant, horses, man with chariots, and chariots with men, and with the, what do you call, army to protect Lord Krishna. Really speaking, Lord Krishna doesn't need any defense. Krishna is powerful himself, but this is out of love. You find our Vedic culture is so perfect that everyone comes under everyone's protection. In this case, Maharaj Yudhishthira, being the king, is trying to give protection to Krishna. So that is Vedic culture. Today, this Vedic culture is practically dead. That people are acting in a whimsical way. And people do things which are not befitting any good culture. It's like a culture on a material platform or on sensual grounds. So you find that actually Krishna did not want anyone's shelter. Yet we find that Maharaj Yudhishthira, out of love and affection, he's arranging all this. Now, if you compare the scene today, if some big man is going, then there'll be cars, there'll be helicopters, there'll be army to make sure that the person is protected. Like the prime minister or president is passing, so much escort is there. So many defense measures are there. But in those days, there were horses and elephants. Why? Because if there's a rough road, and if something happens out of the road, the horse and elephant can go out of the road, which a car cannot go. Car will break down, but horses are much more used to all this kind of scenario. Now, accompanying them is the charioteers and the army. The charioteers means those who fight from the chariot. So they are Maharathis, Adirathis, and so on. Different kind of charioteers. We can hear them when we discuss Mahabharata, that so many Maharathis took part in the war of Mahabharata. They could stand on a chariot, and one can fight with one, and there are others who can fight with thousands, like Arjun. It's a Maharathi. Standing on a chariot, he can use his bows and arrows and kill thousands of soldiers. So anyway, formally that was the system, and they were so trained. Many people think that, oh, they were just using bows and arrows, like we see the people in Kenya, like Masai, they have bows and arrows. These are not bows and arrows of that type. These are, if you read Mahabharata, they were actually missiles. And they had art of using mantras, sound, and use those missiles, and they were directed in a particular direction, which will never go fail. They'll never miss a target. These days from the ships, they send torpedoes, which goes and hits the ship they want to. But this was still much more finer and better, which has been forgotten now. But they were all mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. So you find that Prabhupada mentioning that even they can counteract Brahmastra. Just like a few chapters back, we heard how Ashwatthama had released Brahmastra and how Arjun counterattacked upon given order by Krishna that use your Brahmastra and bring his Brahmastra down or neutralize it before it can create havoc. So many of us may think that, oh, people were backwards 5,000 years ago. But if you really study, and Prabhupada also explained, they were much more advanced than us. These days, many younger generation, they think, oh, we are more advanced than any generation before them, the predecessors, but that is not true. Formerly, people were peaceful, cultural. They had a lot of love for each other. Now it's not there. People are becoming addicted to the so-called social media. And they believe whatever is on the social media to be true. And what happens is, if it was true, why are people getting depressed? Those who watch a lot of social media, without it, they can at once go into depression. So it's become a kind of an addiction. Now this has gone even home to home, people to people, even small children. You see them watching their, mobile and wasting so much time. They think they are getting a lot of education. It's not education. But anyway, we can't refrain it, and Srila Prabhupada doesn't condemn anything. Srila Prabhupada says we can use even this so-called technology, or if we can say in this time, social media to preach our Krishna consciousness. So whatever is there, like Rupa Goswami says, Anasaktasya Vishayam Yatharam Upayunjita Nirbande Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchyate. Whatever it may be, real renunciation means to use everything or anything in the service of Krishna. For example, right now, people are on a mobile phone, or people are on their pads, or people are on the computer. It's a technology, but we are using it to glorify Krishna, to hear about Krishna, and to remember Krishna. So everything can be used in Krishna consciousness. Bhakti is bhakti. Bhakti is very, very powerful. So anyway, Maharaj Yudhishthira used everything possible to make sure Krishna is protected, though Krishna is competent to protect himself. Just like in the Rajya Yajna, Sushipal was hurling insults, abuses, one after another. And Bhima could not bear it. At once he took up his mace and he wanted to break the head of Sushipal. But Krishna restrained him. Don't do it. Even Arjuna was told, don't do anything. And in the end, Krishna produced from his own hand, he summoned the Sudarshan Chakra, which killed, Sushipal. That means he's already having everything. If he wants, he can exhibit anything. His energy, his potencies, his every detail. He's cognizant of everything. Now, for your information, Sudarshan is also a person. We may see Sudarshan to be a chakra. Sudarshan is actually a person. So when Krishna calls him, he appears in the form of chakra. The way he protected Ambrish Maharaj, the chakra protected Ambrish Maharaj. And Krishna didn't have to tell chakra to protect Ambrish Maharaj. Sudarshan did it because he knew that he's in the service of Ambrish Maharaj. So everything is working by Krishna's arrangement. In the similar way, even Krishna has a bow known as Sharan. The bow can appear when Krishna wants it. In the Dwarka Leela, when Krishna would hold a bow, many people will confuse, is this Ramachandra or is this Krishna? Because they both look the same, with a huge bow in the hand. And we also know that Ramachandra also has a bow known as Kodanda. Kodanda is the name of the bow, not Ramachandra, which also appears whenever necessary. They are all persons. Even the, the conch shell, everything is a person and can appear by the will of Krishna. So what to talk of protection? Whenever protection is necessary, everything can appear right in front of him. And Krishna can use the way he wants it. We find that if you read Krishna book or also Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a person who was imitating Krishna. He was a king known as Pandrak. And he had a very close friend, king of Kashi. And they challenged Krishna that you are fake and I am genuine. And then the battle took place and Krishna killed him. Also, he killed the king of Kashi. So Krishna is very, very powerful. Krishna is good at anything. But on the other hand, Krishna accepts the service of his devotees. Maharaj Yudhishthira is doing seva. You may not know that Yudhishthira Maharaj is older than Krishna. Arjuna is equal age with Krishna. Even Bhima is older than Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says that whenever Krishna would come to Hastinapur, first he would bow down at the feet of Yudhishthira, at the feet of Bhima. Arjuna, he would hug him. And Nakul and Sada would touch the feet of Krishna. This is our Vedic culture. That anyone superior appears to us, we must bow down. That's why even in our Krishna conscious culture, we bow down to every devotee, at least once in the morning, and we bow down to all the devotees of the Lord, including those devotees that are not even in front of us. Without their blessings, nobody can make progress in Krishna consciousness. So anyway, that is our etiquette. Now, you'll find that in our Vedic culture, the superiors are offered respect. And if the superiors gave some order, they would accept it. Those who were juniors, it means Krishna was younger than Yudhishthira. Though Yudhishthira Maharaj very well knew that he's acting like my cousin, but he's the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. But as a formality, as a social custom, he sent army, chariots, horses, elephants to give full protection to Krishna. Not in our culture, we find that when Krishna descends here, he follows all the regulations, rules and regulations. He doesn't break the Varnashram system's rules and regulations. If you go to Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, verse number 23, it says, "For if I did not engage in work, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path." Prabhupada is explaining that in order to keep the balance of social tranquility, for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family usages meant for every civilized man. Although such rules and regulations are for the conditioned souls and not Lord Krishna, because he descended to establish the principles of religion, he followed the prescribed rules. Otherwise, common man would follow in his footsteps because he is the greatest authority. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home as required of a householder. So Krishna followed the full etiquette of a householder or of a guest or as a younger brother of the Pandavas. He took Pandavas as their own because Pandavas were righteous, virtuous, following the Dharma 100%. That's why Krishna loved them and Krishna protected them. And if Madhara Maharaj Yudhishthira would say, do this, he would do it. Now, you may not know in Mahabharata, before Ashwamedh Yajna, Krishna, Sadeva was told, Yudhishthira Maharaj had a meeting with his brothers. He said, how do we want to perform the Ashwamedh Yajna? And Sadeva is very learned, you should know, for your information. He said, don't do anything, first go and get Krishna. So at once Maharaj Yudhishthira ordered Sadeva, you go and get Krishna. So Krishna was brought to Hastinapur at that time. And then under the instructions of Krishna, the Rajsu Yajna was prepared. Now to perform your Rajsu Yajna, first of all, you need wealth. Second thing you need is, if there is some king in distress, you have to protect that king. And if there is any imbalance in the society, it should be corrected before you perform your Ashwamedh Yajna. Because Ashwamedh Yajna means people will vote him or accept him as the emperor of the entire planet. That is the meaning of Ashwamedh Yajna. It's very difficult, very expensive, and it's not necessary. In Kali Yuga, it is just not possible. It was possible in Dwarka. So one of the rules was, at that time, Jarasandha had kept many kings captive. So before the Ashwamedh Yajna, Krishna, Arjuna, Bhima, they went in the disguise of a Brahmanas and then challenged Jarasandha, in which Jarasandha was killed by Bhima. And all those kings were released. This this brought the fame of Yudhishthira high up to the sky. This is all done before Ashwamedh Yajna. So Ashwamedh Yajna is not easy. And still, Maharaj Yudhishthira gave different duties to different people. Imagine what was the duty of Maharaj Yudhishthira, Krishna, that you serve the Brahmanas. And Krishna agreed. He served the Brahmanas to an extent that when they would have their bhojan means their lunch or food, whatever it is, Krishna would literally go and pick those plates up, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which no one will do. So that's why Srila Prabhupada mentions here that Krishna enjoys playing the role of a subordinate, like he became subordinate to Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, we all know she's a pure devotee and no one can excel Mother Yashoda as far as parental love is concerned. She's the topmost. And when we all know Damodar Leela, how she took up a stick to punish Krishna, and Krishna accepted it and became scared. And we already read in one or two verses where the verse Vibandhanam. Vibandhanam means that astonishing. How can the Lord of the universe get scared by just a simple stick? And in another lecture I heard many years ago, Prabhupada says that when this incident was happening, it proves that Maharani Kunti was also there. And she had either seen or heard everything, what is happening or what had happened. That is why even Maharani Kunti was put into that astonishment. How can this happen? How can this happen? That the Supreme Personality of God is playing the role of a small child, yet gets scared. And when he cried, we find the tears were rolling out of his eyes. And the mascara, the ointment, the black ointment, what do you call kajal, it went on his face, the face became blackish here. So all this she remembers. So imagine if we were there, even we'll be shocked to see all this. How can this happen? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is what Prabhupada is mentioning. That even Mother Yashoda was taking Krishna as his own son. And if someone told Mother Yashoda or even Nand Maharaj that this son of yours is not someone ordinary. And Maharaj Nand Maharaj said that, who is he then? He said, first of all, he's not a human being. He said, then he must be some devta in disguise. And when people would say he's Lord Narayan himself, he would not believe. He would say, no, he's my son. This is the argument he will give. Even when he chastised Kaliya, when all the forest fire, Krishna consumed in his mouth, still he would not believe it. Even when he lifted Govardhan hill, still they would not believe. Because they say, oh, it was not just Krishna holding. All the Gopas were holding with their sticks the mountain, not knowing that it is Krishna holding everything. But anyway, this is known as the Yogamaya potency of Krishna, means energy of Krishna, that he had covered both Nand Maharaj and Yashoda and everyone else with this potency that nobody will know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we all know that after that Indra comes. And then how Indra, Krishna, he removes his pride. Actually, he had become very proud. And we all know that it's not that he chastised Indra in front of everyone. No. He did it separately in a very secluded place. Just like you are the owner of a huge company, like a huge industry, and you employed a CEO. And sometimes if he makes a mistake, you don't shout at him in front of everyone. You tell him to come on a side, and then you explain to him where he was wrong. In a similar way, Indra is like the CEO, and he's doing a lot of work. So Krishna said, he accepted whatever Indra said, and Indra also apologized. And Indra knew he had made a grave mistake. He knew it. Now he knew that if he came alone, Krishna will not be happy. So do you know whom he came with to greet Krishna or to ask for apology? Anybody likes to try?
Surabhi cow.
Yes, he came with the Shurbi cow because Krishna likes cows. So when Shurbi came, Shurbi actually gave a bath to Krishna. Indra bathed him, Shurbi bathed him. In this way, Krishna and apology. So you find that even in our devotee community, we need to ask for apology or forgiveness whenever something goes wrong. And if you don't do it, it means we are proud, puffed up. If we want to keep good relationships, then we have to ask for forgiveness in case we made a mistake. And if someone has offended you, then there's a way of dealing it. But in a Christian service, there has to be no pride. Otherwise, you will not last. You may do very well few days, few years, and then disappear forever. No. Krishna consciousness, once we begin, it has to go right till the time of death. It's something which has to be with us all the time. And to keep up that, we have to keep a very low profile. Humility is very, very important. That does not mean that you are a fool. And it does not mean you have no intelligence. No. It shows your humility. You find many devotees, you try to offend them, they don't get offended. With a smile on the face, they accept it. And even after everything, if you try to apologize, they say, no, it's okay. It's okay. They just let go. Why? Because the mind has to be very clear in Krishna consciousness. Why are we chanting Hare Krishna? Why do we have to chant 16 rounds, at least minimum, or even more? So that we bring Krishna in our mind. And the holy name is so powerful that it clears all the dirt from our mirror of your mind, keeps our mind shining. Now, if you want to increase the shine of your mirror, of your mind, then be Ajata Shatru, like Yudhishthira. Have no enemies. And of course, you'll have no enemies on an advanced level. So here the point Sri Prabhupada made is that Krishna enjoys to be subordinate. For example, he's riding the chariot of Arjuna. It's a subordinate seva. Imagine the boss is supposed to sit behind and the driver is supposed to drive the car. In this case, the boss is riding the car and the driver is, we can say someone lesser is sitting behind on the chariots. This is the role played by Krishna. And Krishna enjoys that service. And it is out of love he rode the chariot. It is how out of love he protected Draupadi. It is out of love he protected Gajendra. Out of love he protected Prahlad. Many incidents is all out of love. So whole Krishna consciousness is about love, which Sri Prabhupada mentions here, that in the previous verse he says that the ladies were speaking, glorifying Krishna and talking to each other. And Krishna enjoyed those talks and Krishna accepted them because they are much more better than the Vedic hymns, which are done in a ritualistic way. This is not ritualistic way. This was out of love. So the relationship between Krishna and devotee is very, very special. And it can be any devotee, not necessarily just Pandava. There are thousands of devotees, including us also. We may not be pure devotees, it doesn't matter, but we are trying. And someday we will have that relation with Krishna. If we go on with our prescribed rules and regulations given by the spiritual master, we will also come to that level and you will realize that yes, Krishna is responding. Many times we find that in some incidents or with some person or with some situations, it goes out of control. So what happens? Devotee becomes helpless. What does he do? He prays to Krishna, please get everything normal. And Krishna listens and everything becomes normal. You can ask any devotee who is serving our movement for many years. they do go through these situations and everything is taken care. Because many of us think that I am doing, but actually it's Krishna doing. Krishna does everything for everyone. Forget the devotees, even for non-devotees. Krishna is doing everything. So what to talk of devotees? He'll do much more in a more personal way. That is why when one becomes the devotee of Krishna, Prabhupada says he's become the son of Krishna. When we become devotee, we are children of Krishna. And we enjoy that love between a father and children. So devotees' relationship with Krishna is always blissful. I was reading in one section in Mahabharata. There's a very special relationship with the Pandavas, but not forgetting even Draupadi had such a good relation with Krishna that so many talks sometimes they would discuss which nobody knew. Draupadi knew and Krishna knew. They were like on a very friendly basis. And many times, just like these days when the friend and friend meets, even in modern culture, they slap their hands like that, yeah, hands of each other, out of happiness. So it is mentioned even Draupadi, when the work was done, she would even slap the hand of Krishna, and Krishna would happily accept it. So it was so much love. You hear all this, very, very blissful. And imagine you were Arjuna, and Krishna is with you. How much is Arjuna enjoying and how much is Krishna enjoying? The exchange. They'll eat together. They'll sleep on the same bed. They'll walk together shoulder with shoulder with their hands on the shoulder of each other. All this is mentioned in Mahabharata and Bhagavatam and in the Vedic scriptures. This was the intimate relationship between Krishna and Arjuna. Now, talking of us, Krishna is our well-wisher and is our friend. We all know the last verse of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktaram Yagyatapasham Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suidyam Sarvabhutanam Jnatamam Shantim Rishchati. This is known as the peace formula. Prabhupada calls this verse 529 to be peace formula. If you know this verse, you know what is peace. So the last part of that verse is that I'm your well-wisher. Krishna is a well-wisher of everyone. Even you try to do bad with Krishna, Krishna will never do bad with you. He will still treat you nicely. Little punishment he gives us so that just we remain normal in our daily life. Otherwise, Krishna, most of the times, he is not even punishing us. We find that we all know Putna went to kill Krishna. And Putna was killed, but she was promoted to become a mother of Krishna in Vaikuntha. Imagine. This is the all-merciful Krishna. Very, very merciful. Who is more merciful than Krishna? No one. So this is well-wisher of everyone and a friend of everyone. He declares this. I am not samoham sarva bhuteshu, not deshti, not priya, that was in the 9th chapter. That I'm not partial to everyone, I'm equal to everyone. But whoever renders service to me is a friend to me and I am a friend to him. So if you want to make Krishna your friend, the secret is engage in devotional service. And by engaging devotional service, you'll be able to remember Krishna 24 hours a day. All the time you'll think of Krishna and you'll never forget Krishna. Provided you follow the instructions of the acharyas, of your spiritual master, you can actually achieve this perfection. The last point Srila Prabhupada makes is that the pleasure of a devotee serving Krishna is much more higher than the pleasure attained by Brahmananda. If you see the word Brahmananda, what Brahmananda means, the impersonalists you want to merge into Brahmajyoti, that is called the pleasure of Brahmajyoti, or Brahmanan pleasure. Brahma Ananda. Krishna's effulgence, they want to merge into it. But Srila Prabhupada says, what is the use? You can't serve Krishna. And you can't stay there forever. Because if you're not appreciated or serve the feet of Krishna, you'll fall down. So devotees never even out, even in a dream, think of going for a Brahmana pleasure, because they are already getting a higher pleasure. So much pleasure is there in Krishna consciousness that all other pleasures, including Brahmana pleasure, is insignificant, has no value. So this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So these are the points mentioned in this purport, how Maharaj Yudhishthira, out of love, is giving Krishna all the protection as is heading for Dwarka, and how Maharaj Yudhishthira makes sure that everything goes well, and Krishna enjoys being subordinate to Yudhishthira because Yudhishthira is elder than him. He accepts the service given to him. Of course, Krishna is fully competent to defend himself, but yet all these measures were made so that Krishna reaches safely. And the verse mentioned there can be some asuras because the war had just got over. There must be enemies of the Pandavas, and everyone knows that Krishna is on the side of Pandavas. They may attack Krishna. It's mentioned in the Krishna book, I forget the name of that Rishi, that he wanted to curse Krishna because of the war of Mahabharata, but later he realized that everything was done by the will of Krishna, and that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. The name is just going off my mind. I read it so many years ago. Anyway, it's some Rishi, some sage, but later on he worships Krishna. So anyway, the last point mentioned is that Krishna enjoys his service to Krishna, to his devotees, sorry. Sometimes we think we are serving Krishna, but we may not know that even Krishna is serving us, which we don't know. And he does serve us in many, many ways. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If you have any questions or any additions or anything you like to, any corrections, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful session. Are there any questions or comments? Prabhuji, till devotees are thinking of various questions. Prabhuji, according to the Vaishnava etiquette, you mentioned that you touch the feet of people who are elder to you. But in the devotee circle, there might be young devotees. So do you still touch their feet?
You don't touch the feet, but if they bow down, you also bow down to them, even if they are younger. Means you exchange your, what do you call, obeisances. If someone is very small, then you have to place your hand on the head of that person. For example, like I am 70 years old. If Sachin comes in front of me and he does pranam, then I'm supposed to pick him up and at least hug him and bless him. Generally, we say, Mati Krishna Ashtu, let your intelligence always remain in Krishna. Or Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says, is someone of equal place, equal status, or a person who is equal devotee with you, or even junior, he offers you respect within your mind, you pass that respect to your spiritual master so that you don't become puffed up. Sometimes we can become puffed up. Oh, so many people are coming and touching my feet. It is not right. Generally, devotees will not do like that. For example, like if your parents are there, then it's your duty to bow down even to your parents, your father, to your mother. Krishna explains this in the 18th chapter, I think it's verse number 42, where he says austerity of the body means worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master, the brahmanas, the father, and the mother. They are always respectable and worshipable. Besides that, cleanliness, straightfulness, truthfulness, and ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence. This is all for the body. If you do these things, then it means you are doing the austerity of your body. So many Vedic culture is very, very rich. So in our Vaishnava culture, which is actual Vedic culture, that we pay respects to old or young, anyone who is engaged in devotional service. You'll find that anyone who who cannot chant Hare Krishna, one of the main reasons is they are not respectful to devotees. Anyone who is not respectful to devotees cannot chant even one round. Becomes very difficult. If you show respect, by seeing a devotee, we should be happy. Does not matter small or big, whether it's your community or not of your community. All that should never be considered. In the act of devotion, Rupa Goswami explains that devotional service is open for everyone, not for a particular caste or a creed or a religion. No, it's open for all. And he gives the example of a town, I forget the name of the town, where it says Mukund something, I don't know something, starting from M. There were people of very low, what do you call, according to the social status, very low people. But they all took up Krishna consciousness, the whole village or the whole town. And when they would put on tilaks, they looked like the denizens of heaven. So the beauty of Krishna consciousness, it can uplift even the lowest people to the highest standard. That is our Vedic culture, or the Vaishnava culture. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Any questions or comments from other devotees? Prabhuji, can you elaborate on this story of Shishupal? Because I don't know, Prabhuji, what did he do that Bhima became so angry?
Shishupal, if you know that at the birth, he had 3 eyes. 3 eyes. And he was told that anyone who is going to kill him, if he appears, people come to greet the baby, newborn baby, the 3rd eye will disappear. So Mother Yashoda was carrying Krishna. Krishna was just a baby. So when she brought Krishna, the 3rd eye disappeared. And the mother Shishupal started crying. It means in future, Krishna is going to kill my child. And Mother Yashoda mentioned that, no, it will not happen. I'll tell my Kana. And then Kana, later on, he promised the mother that till even if he abuses me, I will not do anything. But the day he hurls abuses 100 times at a go, I will still accept it. But after that, no. After that, I'll kill him. So during the Maharaj Yudhishthira's Rajshri Yajna, everyone voted for Bhishma. But Bhishma said, no. There's someone superior to me, and that is Krishna. He should be worshipped. Or he's like the president of the assembly. So when he was voted, Shishupal became very envious. And he started speaking insults one after another. Oh, who is this? He's just a coward boy. He kidnapped this lady. He used to steal Makhan. He used to this, and very bad abuses. And Bhima became really angry. How can he speak like this? And Krishna said, cool down. Even Arjuna was told to. Even Bhishma became angry. Krishna said, no, let him speak. Today is his day. Never, people didn't know what his day meant. And Krishna was counting each abuse one by one by one. When it reached 100, Krishna still warned him, one more. And that's the end of everything. And he did. At that time, the chakra was released, and Shishupal he was beheaded. And the amazing thing is his soul entered into the effulgence of Krishna's body. This is how Krishna is merciful. So this is about Shishupal. In a way, he's a relative. He's a relative of Krishna. His cousin or something. They know each other. So from birth, they know each other. But he was very envious of Krishna. Especially he showed his envy during the marriage of Rukmini. Because Rukmini's brother, known as Rukmi, wanted Rukmini to be married to Shishupal. Whereas the father of Rukmini, the other brothers of Rukmini, they all wanted Rukmini to be married to Krishna. And Rukmini's desire was to marry Krishna and no one else. So his anger also went up even at that time, because Krishna even defeated Shishupal and he took Rukmini. So he had that kind of an avengeful nature. He was angry as it is all the time. People who are envious, they're always angry, you should know. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. And Prabhuji, one more question about Ajatashatru. So, like Krishna was Ajatashatru, Maharaj Yudhishthir was Ajatashatru, but they didn't have enemies, but there were people who envied him, and they were the enemies. So
True.
even in this material
World is like,
somebody.
If you are Mr. Nice or Mr. Good, you still have people who want to create problems with you. The material nature is like that. That's why Kapila Muni explained the qualities. This is one of the qualities, Ajatashatru. I think if you read the 25th chapter of the 3rd canto, you can read these qualities. Titikshava, Karunika, Ajatashatru, Shanta. Shanta means very peaceful. All these qualities are like the ornaments of a sadhu. And a devotee will have all these natural qualities. He has no enmities. I mean, no, sometimes you may see him become angry with someone. He's for correcting someone. But after a minute, he's gone. Like if you have lived with Prabhupada, the devotees had noticed this nature of Prabhupada. Sometimes Prabhupada will get really angry for some mistake. And in a minute only, he's completely calm. It means he was not doing out of envy or hatred. It was only for correction. I'll give you one example. In a certain temple, yajna was to be done, the fire sacrifice. And Prabhupada had already mentioned that this and this should be brought. So everything was brought, but one thing was missing, fruits. So Sri Prabhupada said, where are fruits? The devotees, they were new. They didn't know in which state the fruits should be brought. So what did they do? They rushed to the kitchen, they cut the fruits and brought it. Now you can't put cut fruits on the side of yajna. So Prabhupada became angry. I don't want it like this. So there was another small devotee, very young devotee. He said, Prabhupada, you said that when you become angry, you chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada at once took his japamala and started chanting. So if you hear this pastime, I mean, this incident, you'll be amazed who is Prabhupada. That's why the more you hear about Prabhupada, you'll find we can learn from him millions of things which we don't know. What we know is very little, but we can learn a lot from him. He is a pure devotee of Krishna, sent by Krishna, empowered by Krishna to deliver fools like, at least like me. Okay.
Like all. Yeah. Correct. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. It's quite, I mean, often the non-devotees, sometimes in the Mahabharata, they blame Krishna, Prabhuji, and like, let's say, I mean, he broke the rules sometimes, and then he deviated the rules sometimes, I mean, with a poor understanding, like when Bhima was killing Duryodhana, the war was supposed to be above the waist. So, but Krishna pointed out to hit Duryodhana at the thighs. So then Bhima attacked the thighs and then killed him. So always non-devotees have this argument that Krishna broke the rules.
Well, actually, it's not Krishna broke the rules, but he incited Bhima that you hit him here. And it's not that it was not fair. It was fair because Bhima had already taken an oath when Draupadi was to be dishonored. It is it was Yudhishthira who ordered Dusashan, bring Draupadi and nude and tell her to sit on my thighs. And Bhima at that time announced in front of everyone, if I get a chance on the battlefield, I'll break your thighs. So what is wrong on the side of Bhima? But Bhima had forgotten. Bhima was still following the culture or the rules and regulation of the mace fight, Malla Yuddha. But Krishna reminded him, because Arjun refused. Yudhishthira said no, but Krishna said to him. So Krishna is never wrong if you really judge. People will always say Krishna did. Now, going a little into this incident of what do you call Duryodhana and Bhima, you find that actually still Duryodhana did not die. Do you know what killed Duryodhana? Do you know it?
No
It's
problem.
not, Bhima is not the cause. Bhima brought him down, but the cause of that is his own people, Ashwatthama. Because when he brought the heads of the children of Pandavas, then he was not believing. So when he saw the heads, he realized, oh, what have you done? And instead of bringing the heads of Pandavas, he brought the heads of their innocent children. Now, what have you done? What nonsense. I mean, this is the worst thing here, because none of the Kurus are now left. He didn't know Parikshit is in the womb of Putra. He didn't know that. So it gave him a shock. So Duryodhana is the kind of boon that when he becomes completely shocked, he will die. So he is killed by Ashwatthama, not by Bhima.
Yes, he was lying in the war field for some time
on
after
the battlefield, alone. Imagine, blood all over the thighs and the hips. Actually, if anyone has hips broken, you can ask that person how much suffering it is. Even if you are standing on the crutches, it's really painful. Now he had no crutches, he's completely down, flat on the ground, looking at the sun, and open on the battlefield. There's one verse in the, what do you call it? Third canto? Yeah, third canto. The chapter is called Krishna's pastimes out of Vrindavan. You can read that verse. It says, when Krishna goes to see Duryodhana alone, Duryodhana is alone, Krishna felt compassion. Because after all, he is also his relative. One of the daughters of, what is the name? Lakshmana was married to Krishna's son. So they're relatives. So he tells Duryodhana, if Prabhupada writes in the purport that Duryodhana is also part and parcel of Krishna. So Krishna felt very compassionate. Krishna literally, he had tears in his eyes. And he told Duryodhana, had you not been envious, you would have not died like this. You are envious of my devotees. This is how Duryodhana is. You should read that verse in that chapter. Beautiful verse. Okay.
which verse, Prabhu? So,
I think it's third canto, and verse number I can't remember, but the chapter is called Krishna's pastimes out of Vrindavan. You see, before that comes Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, then Krishna's pastimes outside Vrindavan. We'll come to it. Come to that in the third canto, beginning.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have almost exhausted our time. Any questions or comments? No questions or comments. Can I request Path Prabhu? Path Prabhu, are you able to end this session today? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Please accept our humble obeisances. It's a very nice class about the Krishna's pastime. Also, Yudhishthira Maharaj's compassionate and his loving care to the God. So, Prabhuji, one question is here coming, just a simple question. Everybody knows Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yudhishthira Maharaj also known that one. Then how is he loving he treats like a younger brother, like he giving so many armies, soldiers protection. He knows he is the Supreme Personality.
Krishna accepted the service because he accepted Yudhishthira as the king of the emperor of the entire planet. So though Krishna is of Dwarka, he is subordinate to Yudhishthira. So if Yudhishthira Maharaj is doing some service, he cannot refuse. For example, I came to Eldoret and I want to go somewhere. Then you say, oh, Prabhu, I'll give you a car. Though I have a car, but you said, no. You come to Eldoret, let me give you a car. Let me give you a driver. It means I am accepting your service because you are in charge of Eldoret. You understand the meaning?
Yes, Prabhu.
The similar way, Yudhishthira Maharaj is giving protection along with the facilities to enjoy. And because as far as rule is concerned, Yudhishthira Maharaj is the emperor of the earth. So when the emperor gives you an instruction, it's good to accept. It's not too proud. You should not be proud. Oh no, I can defend myself. I don't want all this. That is not the etiquette. Krishna did not break the etiquette. He accepted it. For example, like when he went to the house of Vidura, Krishna ate the peels of a banana. He did not eat banana offered by the wife. Now you may say, oh, is this devotion? But they were more sweeter than actual banana. So because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when you hear this pastime, you actually cry, how kind is Krishna? How merciful is Krishna? And how much is he, when you show love to him, he shows you 1,000 times more love towards you. Okay.
Thank you very much. I think
Right.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So I request all the devotees, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His Rukma Prabhuji. Please join. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Vancha
Patyarobyasya Vato Patitanam Pavadibhyo Vaisnavibhyo Namo Namaha
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai
Hare
His
Krishna.
Grace Rukma Prabhu ki
Jai
Vivo. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare